So just mentioning that today, what has happened, as I mentioned before, today I had it's a long sort of explanation of what's going on between Israel and Lebanon. So everything is happening right now. What we were talking about today, early morning today, I was talking about if something happens, they're gonna respond to. My understanding was that Iran is not gonna respond to Israel. Maybe Yemen would respond to Israel. Then we had Iranian government coming out and saying there is no point of this sort of behavior on the part of Israelis. We have to respond. We have to do something about it. Then we had five waves of attacks on Israel. Something like 20 missiles were hit, were fired at Israel, northern part of Israel, and at least four of them have hit the target. And because the footages are coming out, we don't know. Israel said there was none of them hit the target, but at least we've seen four footages coming out, four footages from different sites came out. And because for any of these targets we had two or three footages. So but at least we can say, we can confirm four of those missiles hit the target. Then we had a phone call. Donald Trump said, this is so amazing to watch what's going on with the Trump administration. It's unbelievable what's going on. And he said that he's not happy with the Israeli attack on Dahiya in Beirut, and said they didn't, you know, they didn't coordinate with the Trump administration, with his administration. Then Iran, he thought that Iran is not going to respond. Then Iran responded. And he said that I'm going to call Benjamin Netanyahu to not respond to Iran because we are negotiating, everything is going well, and I'm going to have, we have to sign an agreement on Monday or Tuesday because everything is going perfectly well between the two sides, which, by the way, is a big lie. The guy is just, it's unbelievable what is happening with the Trump administration again and again. I'm going to repeat this sentence because it's amazing. It's just amazing what's going on. And Iran, the Iranian response, we had Israel coming back and hitting Iran in Isfahan, in Kermanshah, basically in the east, in the western part of Iran, because which is close to the Iraqi airspace or Saudi Arabia. They came in and hit the targets, but they didn't invade the Iranian airspace. All of these missiles were hit outside of Iranian airspace on Iraq and Saudi Arabia. Maybe they were using Saudi Arabia. The United States said they're not providing anything to Israelis with this attack, but the calculation on the part of Iranians showed totally the opposite. And it shows how deeply the United States was involved in this attack. And they were using Saudi Arabia and other GCC countries in the region. They were using those bases. They still have the information coming out of these countries. So, what was the Iranian reaction? They hit the targets in Saudi Arabia and the American bases in Saudi Arabia. And what's going on right now is Yemen joining the fight, and Yemen is targeting, one of the missiles, at least one of the missile. They fired one missile toward Israel so far. I'm just checking out what's going on right now, but it seems that the missile was intercepted. The Yemeni missile was intercepted, but the new waves of Iranian attacks are happening as we talk right now. And it's going to be a long day because in the Middle East, in the West Asia right now is a day, is during the day, is not, here is the night. I'm here in Brazil, is 12 a.m. and there is something like 6:30 or something in the morning. So, but the attacks are happening as time goes by, and I don't see any sort of, you know, the Trump administration is just messing everything. Just imagine, he said they didn't tell us, But Israelis are talking about the Trump administration greenlighted the attack on Dahiya, then greenlighted the attack on Iran. Donald Trump saying, no, you cannot attack Iran. We are negotiating with Iran. And who's going to believe anymore this guy? I don't know why are they talking to this guy anymore. What is the point of negotiating with this guy? Go and fight him. Israel is not going to be. Donald Trump said that Israel, if they want, Israeli media reported Channel 12. He said after the phone call between Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump, and Israel has decided not to attack Iran. You know what's amazing? That Iranians, you look at the Iranian media say it doesn't matter what they're talking about. We are prepared because the attack is coming. And they were preparing for everything. They were so prepared for the attack. So they were not surprised at all. And the attack has happened. They hit some targets in the cities that I've just mentioned, in Isfahan, in Kermanshah, in the western part of Iran. And then Iranian, and as we talk right now, the new waves of attack are happening between Iran and Israel. And I think this is the recipe for disaster. The Trump administration has lost everything. There is no credibility to talk with this administration. And what is the point? There is no negotiations. Coming back to the basics, there is no negotiations between the two sides. Some messages coming back and forth, going to Iranians sending to the United States. That's all. Everything is this, some sort of messages. And they green light. They said that we're gonna, if they're honest in the way that they're negotiating with Iranians, so put an end to the war. At least put somehow some sort of limits on what Israeli government is doing. You know what has happened? Right after the Iranian attack on Israel, Israel has announced that they're going to stop any sort of humanitarian aid to Gaza. What does it have to do with Gaza? What is the relation between what's going on between Iran and Israel and Gaza? Why are they putting pressure on the people in Gaza? These people are not, these are not rational people. And I hope the Iranian government comes to some sort of understanding that there is no point to negotiate with Donald Trump. The guy is basically useless. And Benjamin Netanyahu is doing everything he wants. And he literally felt that there is something going on between Iran and the United States. They may reach some sort of agreement. Now, what's the point to attack Dahiya, to bomb an empty building? The building that they hit, it was an empty building. But they thought that Hezbollah commanders are there, or they want to attack them, and they want to assassinate them. Then they said, when they didn't hit the forces, Hezbollah forces, they said, or commanders, they said, no, it was a symbolic attack on Dahiya. Why do you need to do such a thing? What is the meaning of that? What is the strategy behind it? What is the tactic behind it? There is no meaning to what they're doing. It's all about death and destruction, nothing else. There is no, if the United States wants to stay with Israel and the way that the Benjamin Netanyahu is behaving and supporting them behind the scene and on the scene, saying that we are not supporting them, we don't care what they're doing, and we're not helping them. Israel is nothing without the United States. They know that. Donald Trump, during the phone call, he said, I told him you cannot attack Iran. But what we've learned so far, practically, he said, go ahead and do it. And they attacked Iran. And right now, the attacks are coming. And Iran is responding to that. And I know that the United States, again, going to beg Iranian to put an end to the war. Because Israel is not the air defense system is not working, by the way. They said tonight, they said they intercepted each and every missile, which was a total lie. They couldn't do this. Yemen is joining. I think the reason that Yemen has joined the fight is because they have perceived or they have some sort of information that the United States is involved in this attack. Without the United States being involved in this attack, there would be no Yemen in this fight. So it's bigger than what's going on, what Donald Trump is talking about. It, I think there is a statement right now by IDF. It says Chief of Staff Eyal Zamir is conducting an assessment and is approving plans for the future. The Iranian regime made a mistake by firing, into our territory. We will continue our attacks in Lebanon despite the equation in Iran is trying to impose. They're talking about how Iran and here is what I think. After all, there is no way to negotiate with these people, and Iran is getting to that point. Why do they need to attack Dahiya? The basic question. If everything was good, if Donald Trump was to sign on Monday or Tuesday an agreement between the two sides, which would include Israel and Lebanon, why Israel? Why does Israel need to do that in Dahiya? Basic question. It's the simple way of asking yourself what is happening. Why do they need to attack? Let's assume you kill 2 commanders, 3 commanders of Hezbollah. What is the outcome of that for Israel? Nothing. They don't want any sort of agreement happening or any sort of deal happening between the two sides. That's why they're killing, they're trying to assassinate people. That's why they stop, this sort of communication to send aid to Gazans, to Palestinians. It's all about it. It's all about annexation. It's all about killing people, putting pressure on the people. They're incapable of fighting Hezbollah because Hezbollah is strategically defeating them in Lebanon by using drones and rockets and ambushes. They're so powerful in the way that they're implementing their plans, their strategy in the southern part of Lebanon. That's why Israel needs to go to Dahiya, there is no point. There is no point of attacking civilians in Dahiya. They know that. But there are 2 points to that on their part. One of them, they want to distract, they want to put pressure on the Lebanese people. And they said, the way Israel is fighting us, we're going to kill you. We're not going to be able. It's the same way that Ukrainians, by the way, they're behaving. They cannot fight on the battlefield. They're killing civilians. The same way. These are the same sort of mindset. And that's why they're going to die. And the United States the Trump administration is just, they're gone. There is nothing there is no diplomacy, there is no policy, there is no communications. And I think what we're going to see in the coming days, we're going to see the escalation because Iran is going to respond. As we talked, they're responding to what Israel did in Iran, and Israel going to respond to Iranian, and this going to be back and forth. I don't know what would be the scale of the Yemeni participation or Yemeni involvement in this war. It depends on the United States. And if the question is here, is Donald Trump going to join the war? And how far they want to escalate the war? Is it going to be some sort of tit for tat, or is it going to be a full-scale war? I think from what we've seen so far, we are escalating. The war is escalating. This conflict is escalating toward a full-scale war between the two sides. That's why Yemen is joining the fight. And it's going to be the same. We've heard it from the Iranian general, who is the main advisor, military advisor to the Iranian supreme leader. He said that the escalation going to be, we're going to fight the United States in the Mediterranean. It's not going to stay in the Persian Gulf. That's why they're hitting Saudi Arabia. And all these GCC countries are, and here is the new report coming out. The attack on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia was also carried out by Yemen. So it wasn't just an Iranian attack. It doesn't mean that it was an Iranian attack. It was a Yemeni attack on Saudi Arabia. And we thought that it was Iranian attack on Saudi Arabia. But here the new report shows that it was the attack on the part of Yemen hitting targets in Saudi Arabia. And there are lines of communications between, among the acts of resistance, different parts of the acts of resistance. This communication just divide and the duties between the two sides right now, Yemen and Iran. We know that Kataib Hezbollah in Iraq, they said they're going to join the fight. Still, I didn't see any sort of news that they have joined the fight, because they said they're going to hit the targets in Iraq, American base in Iraq, and in the region, maybe in Kuwait. And this is little by little moving toward huge escalations. And this is the disaster that is happening for Donald Trump. The guy is incompetent. There is no way. He's amazing to brag. I'm the biggest guy. I am the one who calls the shot. He said today. He said that Benjamin Netanyahu going to respond. The reporter asked him after Iranian attack. He said, no, he's not going to attack Iran, because I am responsible. I'm running the show, not Benjamin Netanyahu. He has nothing to do. He has to follow what I'm asking him to do. But that's totally the opposite. Just seeing how Israel attacked Iran shows that how useless and weak is the president of the United States. He's just bragging. The guy is a showman. He's just bragging. He wants to show himself as a big guy. Everyone gonna follow him and is gonna take his orders. But Benjamin Netanyahu just humiliating him. Just what happened tonight is showing how this guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, who's not popular, by the way, in Israel, but has the leverage. He has the leverage to put pressure on Trump. And the Zionists are just surrounding Donald Trump in Washington. There is nobody right now in his administration to go against these sort of policies. Who's there anymore? Are you hearing anything from J.D. Vance? The guy is not there anymore. Pete Hegseth, who's Marco Rubio, Stephen Miller, Jared Kushner. These are ultra Zionists. The administration is just done.